गुरुदेव गुरुदेव जय गुरुदेव जय भगवत पाद जय प्रभु जय गुरुदेव भगवान की जय
Yeah, thank you very much.
हरे कृष्ण थैंक यू
Hare Krishna, thank you. We'll begin reading from Glory of India, Guru Maharaj's pastimes, and here we're continuing with remembrances, or you could say not remembrances, glorifications of Guru Maharaj and remembrances of his pastimes that these senior devotees had with Guru Maharaj. So we'll start from here. I believe this is where we left off. And those of you who would like to read, you can raise your hand, and we all read 3 paragraphs each. So please just raise your hand and we go start reading. Gaur Gadadhar Prabhu, you can start.
Sorry, Prabhu. Just so in the book, actually, Prabhu, which page it will be then, Prabhu?
It's slightly different in the book, but it should be 533. Oh, sorry. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
532 should be. I'm looking at book right now.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, just almost there. So 532, right, Prabhu?
Yes.
Yeah. Educing further on Maharaj's, yes, Prabhu?
Yes.
Educing further on Maharaj's dedication to the mission and words of Srila Prabhupada, His Grace Sarbhom Prabhu shares. My first experience is that Maharaj is the living embodiment of book distribution of Srila Prabhupada books. The second is that he is Dasa Anudasa. Krishna was born on Janmashtami, and Krishna's gift to Kali Yuga, Srila Prabhupada, was born on Nandotsava. And then Krishna thought, let the devotees take a break for one day before he sent one of his associates, Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Now, tell me, is he not Dasa Anudasa? Prabhupada is Krishna's servant, and Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj is Prabhupada's servant. So that makes Maharaj's Dasa Anudasa. In the parampara of Lord Chaitanya told the Goswamis to discover the Leela Sthalis and build temples. But the Lord says that more than even Lakshmi and Balram, my dear devotee Uddhav is dear to me. So the Pandavas were very dear to the Lord. And the capital of the Pandavas is Delhi. And Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj is preaching in Delhi. And he has built temples there in Delhi in all the directions. This place has the footprints of the Lord. And this is the place where Maharaj has built temples. The fourth point is that once one of Prabhupada's disciples, Hari Shauri, told us that one scientist said that you don't understand Prabhupada. The disciple said that we have spent time with Prabhupada, so how can you say that we don't understand him? The scientist said that if you are able to establish an organization at the age of 70, only then will you be able to understand Prabhupada. Maharaj is 75 years old, and at this age also he is able to serve Srila Prabhupada with the same enthusiasm. Also, looking at Maharaj's sadhana, we feel ashamed as we are not able to match his sadhana and simplicity. His allegiance to his Guru is unparalleled. His Holiness Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj pronounces. He is sold out to Srila Prabhupada. For Srila Prabhupada's movement, he will do whatever is required without caring for his personal prestige or position. His loyalty is unflinching to Srila Prabhupada, and he is his sold out servant. He has had an impossibly busy schedule for the past many years, and yet he is always full of energy in everything he does. Even young devotees are not able to keep pace with him. They practically fall dead after spending a few days with him. He, however, is running as if nothing happened. This is a sign of his direct access to transcendental energy, which has no explanation from the material point of view. It's like an absolute miracle, and such things don't exist in the material world. To live in such intense situations for so many years is humanly impossible. He is definitely protected by Krishna and runs on spiritual energy. There is no trace of doubt in my understanding on this. This dedication to Srila Prabhupada and his movement also translates into our personal relationship. I like India and I like to spend more time here at holy places. But whenever he sees me, the first thing he asks me is, "What are you doing here? You should go back to Moscow." He is one of the most amazing people I know, and I could talk hours on his qualities. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Ratikala Manjari Mataji, you can read next, and others, please raise your hand for those of you who can read.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Another manifestation of his being sold out to Srila Prabhupada is witnessed in his dedication to people who believe in Srila Prabhupada. He is very personal with everyone and remembers all the details of the personal lives of devotees who have interacted with him. He is always desirous to inspire and take care of the devotees by giving them spiritual strength and understanding. It is because of this that he is traveling tirelessly from one place to another. We have our South Russian festival, which happens after this Vyasa Puja. He is extremely busy at that time, and I normally try to push him to come to the festival. The argument which works the most to make him come is when I say that there are a number of devotees waiting for you and they need you. He is then unable to refuse. He values each and every person who comes to Srila Prabhupada's movement and dedicates his life. In Russia, there are disciples of many gurus, but he doesn't make any distinctions whatsoever while dealing with them. Of course, he takes care of his own disciples, but I never felt that he made any distinction when it comes to devotees of other gurus. He is an absolute gentleman, and he is really Prabhupada's man. He wants to encourage everyone without any exception. In the beginning, Russian devotees were very poor, and Maharaj also took great care of them and facilitated them in Delhi and Vrindavan temples. It was Srila Prabhupada's personal instruction to him to preach in Russia. Whatever is done in India is done by Gopal, Prabhupada had said. His Holiness Bhakti Parushtama Maharaj thinks. He has connected people to ISKCON. He takes everyone along. He is the senior most devotee in the GBC, and he considers everything his moral responsibility. His contribution to ISKCON is immense. Prabhupada gave a lot of importance to Maharaj, and that is why he was made the GBC of the whole of India. He was also appointed a trustee of BBT. He shoulders so many responsibilities. His service and contributions are visible to the whole world. He operates over a vast zone. In spite of his advanced age and health issues, he personally guides devotees all around the world, traveling all over, handling many responsibilities. He is loved by all because of his humility and gentility. He is sincere in his sadhana, doing Mangalarti, wherever he is, and at whatever time he reaches. He is the chairman of the bureau, and devotees think it is very burdensome for him to discharge his duties, but Maharaj doesn't want to leave his services. I believe he was instructed by Prabhupada that he would be taken to Bhagavad Dham if he managed ISKCON. If he managed ISKCON very well, wherever there is a legal issue, he is called for resolution. He manages all the meetings. Even if he isn't the GBC of an area, he still helps. He has taken so many responsibilities that it'll be difficult to replace him. He respects everyone. Even in meetings, he never raises his voice. He tolerates even when his juniors misbehave. He surrendered to Prabhupada and considers it his personal responsibility to go wherever there is a problem. He listens to everyone. Whether it is Mayapur or New York, he is the troubleshooter. He always encourages Sankirtan devotees. He is always present for the prize distribution ceremony at Mayapur. Although he is GBC of Delhi too, he never discriminates between Mayapur and Delhi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Srimati Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
He never desires to take service from anyone. Even if he makes a small mistake, he apologizes several times. He deals with us in a very humble manner. Even though he's a senior, his smile is like that of a child. These are the qualities of a pure devotee. He wants to take everyone along. Prabhupada entrusted this society into his hands, and this society is his absorption. Therefore, he tries to take everyone along. Her Grace Manasi Ganga Devi recounts, my mother left her body in Vrindavan in 1997. So I was in a big state of confusion in my mind. What do I want to do? Do I want to go back to Nairobi? Do I want to go back to the UK? Do I want to be in India? On checking with Parvati Devi, who had cultivated us, she retorted, if you serve Gopal Krishna Maharaj, then you will be very satisfied because he is 100% Prabhupada man. After so many years of close association with him, I would join the chorus which says, he is a Prabhupada man. His Grace Revati Raman Prabhu, JPS, Temple President, ISKCON Tirupati, and GBC digs into the past to elicit. My relationship with Maharaj is a blessing of the Supreme Lord. In his association, I feel emotionally and spiritually safe. In my interactions with Maharaj over decades, I strongly feel that he's simply following Srila Prabhupada's instructions, a perfect Prabhupada-nuga. Many a time I felt a desire to be close to the Maharaj all the time, because I feel the care and affection that you have is something I have never felt before. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Prasannatma Prabhu. Prabhu, you may need to unmute. We can't hear you.
His Grace Braja Hari Prabhu, Temple President, is controversial. Inches further to proclaim that he has exemplary behavior and other people follow him. Maharaj follows Srila Prabhupada very seriously. Whatever Prabhupada told Maharaj, he has been very seriously following that for the last 50 years. Maharaj does not care whose disciple or devotee is, but whoever has whatever qualities, he engages them in service according to their qualities. He does not give any preference to his disciples. Whenever Maharaj sees that devotees are spending too much time in Vrindavan Dham and away from their service, he will always request them to go back to the service because the services would get affected. We have so much to learn from him. We have to deal with senior devotees like Maharaj does. Maharaj once told me that Srila Prabhupada told him personally that for big temples, including Juhu Temple, there should be several managers. This is why Maharaj stresses on a council. Lots of other senior devotees tell me that the temple president should take all the decisions, but Maharaj says that though the temple president has a lot of powers, important decisions should be made by consulting with other senior devotees or by a council. His Grace Radhishyam Prabhu, Temple President ISKCON Pune, offers a befitting acclamation to His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada, following in the footsteps of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, desired that the Gurukul building and Krishna Balaram Temple should accommodate hundreds of students from all over the world. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. What is your son's name? Who read? Thank you. Sham Kishori Mataji? Shama Kishori Mataji.
So this Gopal Krishna Goswami, we can see faithfully in the line, has followed the same instructions. For example, 4 instructions given by Mahaprabhu to the Goswamis were: 1. Identify the holy places in Vrindavan. 2. Erect temples. 3. Start deity worship. 4. Print and publish books and train people in Krishna consciousness. So the Prabhupada has done the same thing. Only Prabhupada discovered holy places, not in Vrindavan, but in America. Even in places where cows were being killed in the millions, Prabhupada excavated holy places. Prabhupada established deities, he published books, he personally distributed books, and he established Krishna in the hearts of millions of people worldwide. Following in the footsteps of Prabhupada, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj has done the same. When Prabhupada was in Montreal, Canada, he saw this young, upcoming devotee boy, Gopal Krishna. Prabhupada was very pleased and told the temple authorities to keep an eye on this boy. He's going to do great things. And whenever Prabhupada arrived at the temple, this boy, Gopal Krishna, would go to the temple, clean Prabhupada's room, and make it ready for him. He was a lover of Prabhupada. And because he loved and served Prabhupada, Prabhupada gave him the most important task of handling the DBT, which was Prabhupada's heart. He gave his heart to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada gave his heart to him. Prabhupada ordered him to print and publish books all over the world in all the languages. And you have all seen what a miracle Maharaj has done. He becomes so happy when a book is published in some other language, like Chinese. That's his greatest joy. Whenever Prabhupada's books come out of the printing press, he becomes very happy and touches the book to his head. What was Prabhupada's joy? Exactly that has become Maharaj's joy. Maharaj made his heart one with Prabhupada's instructions. Prabhupada said that Delhi is a big city and you should make 11 temples. And Maharaj has made more than 14 temples. So in this way, Maharaj has faithfully followed Prabhupada's instructions by establishing temples, printing, and distributing books, and not only establishing deities, but personally worshipping the deities. He personally worships the deities every morning, even if he sleeps at 12 o'clock at night. He has inspired millions of people to take to Krishna consciousness very seriously. As Srila Prabhupada not only cultivated the common people, but very rich people, as Raghunath Bhatt Goswami cultivated a very rich king, Man Singh, who built the Radha Govinda temple for Rupa Goswami in Vrindavan. All of which means that our 6 Goswamis were also cultivating big shots. Similarly, I have personally observed in Pune how Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj talks to very rich people. We went to the house of a Mr. Jolly in Pune, so I went with Maharaj. So Maharaj asked Mr. Jolly, Mr. Jolly, how are you jolly? So, yes, everything is going on well. My business is going well. I have a separate business for my daughters for hundreds and thousands of crores. Then Maharaj said, this is all because of Krishna. So that's why now you should do something for Krishna. And Mr. Jolly said yes. So his preaching is very powerful, and he knows the exact nerve of all classes of business people. So in this way, it was Srila Prabhupada's desire that Vrindavan Temple become the training and education center of 500 students from all over the world, and that preaching should be expanded everywhere. I personally got the guidance and inspiration from Maharaj in Pune on how to deal with different types of people and raising them in Krishna consciousness. So once I told Maharaj that we are bringing so many educated youngsters, and once they grow, they become proud. It is very difficult to keep them on track, and we don't want to lose them or see them become proud and destroy themselves. So should we empower them? If we empower them, then they become proud. And if we don't, then they get the inferiority complex. So he said that Prabhupada in his times gave unlimited empowerment to innumerable number of devotees. So I asked him, then how did he keep them under control? And he said that Prabhupada would chase them and make sure they achieved results and that they remained within the limits at all times. He gave them empowerment, but also demanded accountability. Maharaj said that I must do the same thing. In this way, Maharaj has learned from the acharyas how to attack the movement, and at the same time to keep them on track. Seeing his endeavors, his late nights, and his giving every moment to people inspired us a lot in Pune. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Divya Bhakti Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Prabhupada never stopped traveling, and his disciples never stopped inviting him. This tug of war goes on in the heart of a devotee. A Vaishnava wants to preach compassionately, but then he realizes he wants to study also. Prabhupada would always tell his devotees, you not only have to distribute books, but you must also study. So in this way, Prabhupada once joked about devotees. So once someone asked a devotee, what's there inside the books? And he replied that whatever is there, it's very nice. Prabhupada joked like this about devotees. Similarly, acharyas like Prabhupada didn't want to travel. Sorry, if you could go down just a little bit more because it's not. Thank you.
Oh.
Yes. Similarly, acharyas like Prabhupada didn't want to travel, but wanted to stay at one place and write purports. But he realized that there was a need for travel. In the morning, he would give Bhagavatam class, and in the evening, he would go out to preach. And daytime was for managers. Once Prabhupada said, I want to simultaneously preach everywhere at all times. His Holiness Satsvarup Maharaj quoted this. Why did Prabhupada want to be in every place at all times? Is it not like greediness? Is it not like some kind of passion? Then the answer he gives is this. Krishna has posted himself in every atom, Antaryami Paramatma. Therefore, a pure devotee sees the lotus feet of every Paramatma and desires to preach about his glories. In this way, a pure devotee has a craving to take Krishna to as many souls as possible. Therefore, ISKCON's motto is, more devotees, happy devotees. The Mayapur GBC made this song, and they had a guitar also in the background. More devotees mean reaching everyone and engaging everyone. And if we do that, then we have to make them happy devotees. In this way, by engaging others, Prabhupada engaged himself. And we can see Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, we see how many Rath Yatras he attends and how many places he travels and preaches. And in this way, we can see this is the very nature of a Vaishnav. To stretch himself beyond bodily limits and comforts. And by seeing them behave in this way, we can feel appreciation for them and not burden the shoulders of the spiritual master and not give them headaches. We should not burden the shoulders of the spiritual master. Rather, we should shoulder the burden of the spiritual master. That's what every disciple is supposed to do. We can call Maharaj Prabhupada's man. This is my inspiration whenever I meet Maharaj. I feel I am sitting with Prabhupada. His Grace Kamala Lochana Prabhu, Temple President, ISKCON Mira Road, narrates. I met this very senior Prabhupada disciple who is well known in the GBC. We were sitting together when he asked me whose disciple I was. I told him that I was His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj's disciple. Suddenly his face filled with happiness and he asked me, "Do you know who he is?" I replied blankly, "Prabhupada's disciple." "No," he said, "he is Prabhupada's man. There are so many disciples of Prabhupada, but he is the only one person, the only one, because of whom ISKCON is united. Had he not been there, ISKCON would have been divided into 10 divisions. If Prabhupada's ISKCON is put on one side and his own disciples are put on the other, he will give up all his disciples and say that Prabhupada's organization is most dear to him. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Srinivas Pundarika Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. ISKCON is integrated because of him, because he has a capacity to see everybody in the same way, behaving with everybody in the same way, which is the hallmark of a knowledgeable, liberated person, and that knowledge is found in Gopala Krishna Goswami Maharaj. He views everyone at the level of the soul. As an Acharya, he preaches through his behavior. He has taught us to be disciples by being a perfect disciple of Prabhupada. He leads his life strictly on the principles and philosophy taught by Prabhupada. He is the greatest example of commitment to Srila Prabhupada and ISKCON. He sets an example. He himself does what every devotee should try to follow. Under all kinds of situations, difficult or otherwise, he abides by the rule of remaining loyal and accepting the authority of the GBC body. His commitment to Srila Prabhupada and to ISKCON is what his disciples have to follow. They remain in ISKCON under all circumstances. In fact, I am following that already. I had an opportunity to get out of this place when I went through difficult times, but then I practiced restraint and held on. Ruminates His grace. Mukunda Madhava Prabhu, Vice Temple President, ISKCON Juhu, and arguments further. He is also very loyal to Prabhupada and he does everything for ISKCON and within ISKCON. Whatever he will do it within ISKCON. So I think that is an inspiration for me. By serving the Guru, one can please Krishna. One must make the Guru's inspiration as one's life and soul. This is what Maharaja teaches. He is loyal to Prabhupada and how he is sold out to him. These examples show us the way to attaining perfection. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, the afterword. Suryakant, Shyam Krishna Prabhu. Would you like to read? Shyam Krishna Prabhu.
Oh, yeah, I don't think, my screen is working good enough for me to read it,
Okay.
and I don't have the book with me, so I have to skip it. Thank you.
Okay, Prabhu, no problem. Thank you. Uma Pavani Mataji.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. After learning about the extraordinary accomplishments of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, I thought it strange that so few people know of his greatness. This impeccable disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada belongs in the topmost category of Prabhupada's most exalted disciples and followers. Like Prabhupada himself and like other great spiritual personalities who garner acclamation for their incredible legacies, Gopal Krishna Maharaj has done what cannot be done. Therefore, it is my humble hope that this volume will acquaint readers all over the world with the superlative achievements of Maharaj. It is long overdue. Indeed, it is a blessing just to learn about Gopal Krishna Maharaj's stellar contributions to the world. On top of that, it is an enrichment of one's own life just to hear of his devotional ecstasies serving his beloved spiritual master Prabhupada. And it is a not perfect boon just to begin to fathom the glories of devotional service that are so vividly testified to by Maharaj's glorious life. Dear reader, after having been benedicted by hearing the nectar of Gopal Krishna Goswami's pastimes recounted, I have a humble request of you. Kindly pass the nectar of India's glory, Prabhupada's desire fulfilled in Delhi to friends and loved ones so that they too may be blessed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wow. The end. Just reading once a week, we finished the book. Okay, well, I guess this is the natural place to stop. So stop here.
Although, remember we skipped, I guess first, I forget, 90 pages, so we can start with that next time, correct? That's what we decided.
Yes, Prabhu. Or we can see that those first 90 pages were primarily on Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada's coming to Delhi. So we can also discuss starting the next book, which you had said, Prabhupada.
Priyajana.
Yes, Priyajana. Yes, Prabhupada Priyajana. So we can do that also. We can see. So we can stop here for today. It's perfect time. So if someone would like to reflect or speak on what we read, any section, any passage, please share that. You can share that now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Sham Krishna,
Yeah.
Prabhu.
And pranam to everyone. What I have observed and what I heard from today's discussion, reading, that is very true. That if Maharaj wasn't there, the ISKCON would not be what it is right now. It would have been disintegrated in many. I don't know how many. Could be 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever. But it is the ISKCON is together today is only and only because of him. There is no doubt about it.
Yes, Prabhu. Wow, thank you. Thank you for that focusing on that point. Yeah. And also and therefore, because of that, really, his unbiasedness again and again was being mentioned, his unbiasedness in dealing with people, right? In an effort to keep it together, he's equal to everyone, not just people who are following him or his disciples. And one time I recall Guru Maharaj said, someone asked, Maharaj, should this person be in charge, or can men be in charge, or women can be in charge, or Indians or Americans, or who can be in charge of these things like this? In one particular temple, they were talking about this, and Guru Maharaj said, whoever is qualified, that's the principle. He said, whoever is qualified, that person can be in charge, or can be a person in charge, or can be leading a particular service. Whoever is qualified. So he's so he's so unbiased. Yes. Any other thought, Prabhu, you want to share? Sham Krishna Prabhu. You're muted still. Rupanuga Prabhu, would you like to?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone. There were a few points that really hit me today. I just wanted to add to the point that Sham Krishna Prabhu was making, that there was a sentence in the book that says, Guru Maharaj is Srila Prabhupada's man. I mean, what a great comment that is. Thousands of disciples and Guru Maharaj is his Prabhupada's man, which basically means things get done through Guru Maharaj. All the instructions, the desires of Srila Prabhupada are met and executed by Guru Maharaj. What a proud comment. Another comment I made noted was that it said that Srila Prabhupada empowered his disciples, and there were many, many of them, but he demanded accountability. And Guru Maharaj does that. He does empower many of us, but he doesn't just let it go. He asks, okay, so what's happening and what happened? What were the results? So we can't just take the credit and run away and not do everything he wants. He actually makes sure that whatever specific instructions were given, that they have been followed and the results were achieved. If not, then what help is required? He's always there to provide the guidance, provide the help, whatever we need. Another comment was about more devotees, happy devotees. And we make them happy by engaging them. And again, the comment was that look at all the travel that Srila Prabhupada did, but look at all the travel Guru Maharaj is doing. Even in his physical condition today, I think just yesterday or today, he has gone to Mumbai, and like doesn't stop. Mangal Aarti, then travel somewhere. Mangal Aarti, then travel somewhere. And in the meantime, meeting dozens and dozens of devotees every day. One of our Toronto devotees, Ashok Krishna Prabhu, just came back and he said that every time he went to meet Guru Maharaj, there was a lineup. And this is not even like the season like Kartik month or anything like that. It's the regular time of the year and there's a lineup to see Guru Maharaj wherever he goes. So he's engaging every one of us. And by engaging us, he's making us happy and keeping us committed to ISKCON. I mean, how many times have we heard him say, whatever you do, stay in ISKCON. Do not leave ISKCON. If you get upset, well, get upset, but stay in ISKCON. You want to fight? Fight in ISKCON. Don't leave ISKCON. Because there's nothing better anywhere. Whatever reason we may be wanting to leave ISKCON, we find the same reasons everywhere else. But the disadvantage of not having the right philosophy, the right messages, right books, all those kind of things. So those are the things that really, really struck me today. So I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu, for reminding us of Guru Maharaj's amazing nature and role and position in ISKCON as Prabhupada's man, and also how he never stops, like he's just gone to Bombay, reminding us of that. And I believe to open like 4 temples there. One, the main Nava Bombay, the new Hari temple. Yes. And that temple, Guru Maharaj worked so hard in bringing that to where it is. And I think it now it's being opened. Finally, it's like been in process at least the last 20 years. At least 20 years probably they've been working on that project. And and now, like, I mean, we just see the fruit. Oh, Guru Maharaj has gone to open another temple, but what that temple meant for him and how hard he worked for it and what he did to establish it, only he knows, isn't it? Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, no, that's really amazing. Gaur Gadadhar, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Just actually, I wanted to quickly, share a little experience that we had with Maharaj. So we have been visiting Atlanta temple, actually, where Maharaj used to come, like since from 2007 through 2019, before the COVID, actually. And the thing is, like, as I was reading earlier, actually, it was so hard to even like physically keep pace with Maharaj walking in the park. Like he will be like, he'll be way ahead, actually, and after few days of ecstatic association with Maharaj in Atlanta, when we used to return back home, it used to take like few weeks to recover from that. Means like the thing is, like, there was so much ecstatic ecstasy that we felt with Maharaj, that the material body, actually, when we returned home, this material body was not able to handle that. So and for Maharaj, it's 24/7, 365 days affair. And definitely, we can understand, like, as we were reading, that no way from the material aspect we can think that anyone can on a humanly platform can handle that kind of services and kind of for Prabhupada, actually. So definitely here, there's no doubt that Maharaj is empowered, and by being in association with Maharaj, we can feel the crumbs of that ecstasy, in serving Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. so nice, actually, bro. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Wow, this is yes, reminding us of Guru Maharaj's face and his that sentence was there in the book, that who was it, Manasi Ganga Mataji's remembrance or someone else's remembrance, that after a few days, people are almost like dead.
Yeah.
So exhausted.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Like when we serve Guru Maharaj, all of us, any of us, when we get the chance, we think like this is normal. This is how Maharajas, sannyasis, this is their life. Like this is the pace that they go for. And so I used to think this way, like, okay, this is what it means to be a sannyasi. Is every 2 days they move from one place to another, and it's like 3 programs a day plus 3 meetings a day, all these things. And then I had the chance of associating, of serving and a few, some other Maharajas over just some time. And then when I would serve them, it's like, oh, I'm on vacation. It like felt being on vacation, not to feel that they're any less. But Maharaj's face was just like a bullet, like a 747 plane. Just
yeah. Very true. Thank you, bro. Hare Krishna.
Would anyone else like to reflect on what Gaur Gadadhar Prabhu has said? Is that something that many of us have, experienced? Adi Gauranga Prabhu, Mataji, Adi Gaurangi Mataji, or Madhu Krishna Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. I just wanted to reflect that throughout our reading, we always can see how Guru Maharaj is following the instructions of Srila Prabhupada, how important it is for him to follow those instructions. And I thought it was very clear today when we read about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions and saw how Prabhupada was following those 4 instructions. And then clearly it was explained how Guru Maharaj is also exactly following those instructions. So it just kind of was so clear to me that it just summarized everything that I feel like the theme that we've read throughout this whole book. Guru Maharaj is Prabhupada's man, and Prabhupada was, he's following the whole line of disciplic succession and ultimately Krishna. So I feel very fortunate to be following in Guru Maharaj's footsteps as much as we can. So.
And the thing that we see is that Guru Maharaj is the perfect example of how to be a disciple. And so my question always is to myself, how can I best please Guru Maharaj? Just do what he does, being exactly do what he does, specifically just exactly what Prabhupada was doing. We should follow the same way. So question Guru Maharaj always asks me, I'm sure everyone has a specific question he always asks you. And you know what the question is going to be before he asks you, because that's the instruction. He always asks, how's your Bhakti Vriksha? For me, always, how's your Bhakti Vriksha? How is it going? And I always go, oh, yeah, it's fine. But then I realize that the reason he wants to know is because his whole mission is to make sure the new people are being talked with, preached to. And so, in fact, when Guru Maharaj comes to any place, where does he go? He doesn't want to go. He wants to see disciples for sure, but he wants to go see where all the newest people are gathering, and he wants to go meet them. And this is how he's tirelessly working to spread the movement. And the other thing I read in this, that's one thing. The other thing I thought was very interesting was I don't know which one asked, he preaches to rich people. I thought it was kind of nice that, we sometimes get nervous preaching to wealthy people. I would say, I know I do. talking about, because they're already so-called have what they want, but many times the wealthiest people are the ones that are they're most distraught, right? They're the ones that are actually struggling the most. And Guru Maharaj doesn't think, oh, only the ones who are fallen need help, because even the ones who are so-called not fallen materially also need help. So I felt inspired that this is something I want to take upon in 2024, is to reach out to some of our more of our wealthy folks and see if they can help the movement as well. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu and Mataji, for that amazing reflection. And those 4 things, Mataji, that you had mentioned, the 4 unearthing places of holy places, establishing temples, worshiping the deity, and publishing and distributing books. Those 4 things Guru Maharaj often gives, he quotes that verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita and gives lectures on those 4. Like, especially when there's a temple opening or something temple related, he'll refer to that exact passage in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where those 4 instructions are given to the Goswamis. So that's amazing. Yes. Thank you. Srinivas Pundarika Prabhu, I think you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I was reading a Upanishad Vakya. It talks about when we are in the material platform, when we always associate ourselves with the body, that is Dehatma, Abhiman, and when we are in Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matcharya, we feel so tired. We'll always feel tired. But when we are in the transcendental platform, when we associate ourselves with Krishna always, when we always think we are Dasana Dasa or Krishna Dasa, and when we are above this Kama, Krodha, Moha, Lobha, Mada, Matcharya, we don't feel tired. So when I was reading that Upanishad Vakyam as part of one of the purpose, it reminds me of our Guru Maharaj. I think is in the transcendental platform, not associating with the body. He is always thinking that he is a spirit soul, and he wants to help the people. So that reminds me of our Maharaj. The other thing that I want to quote is that Maharaja does not care whose disciple a devotee is, but whoever has whatever qualities, he engages them in the service. Now, this year, His Grace Vrindavan Das Prabhuji, who is a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, came to our house for a house program. And he was telling that when he was very young, 40 years back, and he was in Juhu, and he said, Guru Maharaj, told him, give me a bunch of books and said, you go and distribute it. And at that time, he was not very well versed in Bhagavad Gita. He said that you can do it. And then he gave him some tips. But he said that was very useful. And he is always indebted to him, for his, help, during his stay in Juhu. And that's another thing. The other thing I was to mention is that as an Acharya, he always preaches through his behavior. That is an Acharya, Acharya iti Acharya. So that is one of the, I would say, highly motivation for disciple like me. I always watch him and see what he does, and at least try to replicate as much as possible. After my meeting with Maharaj during his visit in Baltimore, I got very inspiration about the deity worship. And in fact, after that, I've been doing Mangalarti, Narasimha-arati, Tulasi-arati, and Guru Vandana every day. That was a real motivation for us. I used to talk to Gita Mataji and say this. Those are some of the points, takeaway that I found. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. And yeah, it was so amazing. You were saying how Guru Maharaj's body, it becomes transcendental, spiritual, because, when we're fully engaged, the Matsarya, all those, influences are not there. And it's true, because devotees who travel with him, they actually say that when they're traveling with him, they don't get sick. Like otherwise they'll get sick regularly, but in his association, they don't get the cold and the flu and those things. They just don't get it. And then as soon as they leave him, then they'll get it. So it's like, it's very transcendental. His body is like, and that's what the Nectar of Instruction says, that the body and the bodily ailments of the devotees are not, one should never see them like a normal person's ailments, because they're so transcendental. It's like, it's not a material situation. Yes. Advaita Charya Prabhu, did you want to comment on this, or yes, Prabhu?
I was thinking about that Guru Maharaj, he is preaching to a lot of wealthy people here, and somehow there is capturing them in the service of Krishna and Prabhupada. But a lot of devotees criticize Guru Maharaj, that why Guru Maharaj gives so much importance to the rich people and care about common people. And that's not the true. I mean, you can see that across the board, he's serving and inspiring everyone. But he definitely targets and inspire more to wealthy people because he knows that the Lakshmi is very important for ISKCON movement. And also, same time, rich people get more benefit than getting the material life. So I think Guru Maharaj is capturing everywhere, but yes, he definitely, spend and more time for cultivating rich people because that's more important service that they can do. But unfortunately, sometimes our even disciples criticize Guru Maharaj that he's paying attention to the rich people. He goes to the rich people's house. If the rich people say standing in the temple, he will go and approach them. But Guru Maharaj knows actually what he's doing. So sometimes we do offenses, criticizing Guru Maharaj also. So that's one thing about. Second thing about, he always tells that when some festival is coming to local temple and Guru Maharaj is traveling or visiting, he postpones his program because he does not want to interfere the local temple service, their duties, responsibilities. So we have noticed every time some Janmashtami time or some other programs comes, Guru Maharaj does not come in Washington. Since you can, because they know that when Guru Maharaj comes, we all get attracted and we just spend time there and we just give our services. So he's very careful about that also. And third thing about the point I noticed that yes, when I think one Maharaj mentioned about that, how 24 hours is doing the services. I mean, it's impossible task. When Guru Maharaj comes for 1 week here, and after 1 week, we need 1 week off time because we cannot cope up with that. So my brother actually, I remember that he takes 1 week off after Guru Maharaj leaves because he has to recover. While Guru Maharaj, for every single day, he goes from, let's say, from Washington to Atlanta. Same thing, nothing changed. I mean, same activities. Meeting same different devotees, and remembers everyone's their personal information, knowledge. He has it, guiding them, and then he goes from that to Detroit, the same thing. Detroit to Canada, same thing. There's no break at all. His personal sadhana, his preaching, his activities, his days is just ending at 10:30, 11 o'clock night, right? We all see that. And this is not for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 40 years, 50 years. He's doing it. And he's getting older every year, just like we do. But he does not change. So this shows he's not a material platform. This all disease, all difficulties. So when I see this book, I think everybody should have this book. This is going to be a reference guide for us to get inspiration. I think we're reading from the book on the computer. No, everybody must have this book so we can go back again and again. One time reading just gives you some inspirations, but I think we need to have this book more because most of the devotees, sannyasis, thought brothers, they have commented. And when we read, we realize how great our Guru Maharaj is. And when we don't have this knowledge, we don't have this information. I had not much information about Tribal before reading this book. I realized how great this book is for our own inspiration. So I think every devotee should have this book. I'm not sure we have not read the second book yet. We'll find out how great that book is also like. So I think we should keep this book. We should buy. It's not an expensive book. I think we
There's
should
no
have
more
the
printing.
book.
Printing finished. No more printing. All
Yes,
printing
well,
finished.
they can again.
They're working on a next printing. They're going to add a section on a few more Delhi temples, Ghaziabad and others that have opened. So don't worry, we'll have more. Nand Gopal Prabhu promised me we'll have a lot more of these books. Never run out. Might just have to read a
This is
little.
amazing. I'm glad we read the book. Otherwise it's sitting in my house for a long time, not even opened it. So thank you, Gopal Hari Prabhu.
Oh, Prabhu, this is your inspiration, Jagannath Priya Prabhu's inspiration, Guru Maharaj's inspiration, that we're reading this actually. Yes. Yeah, Prabhu, thank you. Like you're so close to Guru Maharaj, and you've been with him the longest, and you've actually imbibed what his mood is, and your sharing with us is so powerful. Actually, what you just said was really hard hitting, and yeah, the biggest. I was just thinking when you were saying that the biggest mistake is to see him to misunderstand the spiritual master, right? And his mission is so deep, it's so far-reaching, we don't know. And yeah, and yes. Also, I heard the Shyam Sundar Prabhu in one lecture, in the manner he said that Prabhupada specifically told him that preach to the rich and influential people, rich and powerful people. And then Prabhupada said, then the movement will expand very fast. Prabhupada also, like Lord Krishna, Krishna spoke it to the kings, right? He knew that if we influence those people who have a lot of influence, if we influence the influencers, then we can spread the movement very fast. And that's what Guru Maharaj tries to do. People who are wealthy, who are powerful, they have more influence on others, and have more people they influence, generally speaking. At the same time, every person is equally dear to him. But externally, he shows them more respect, right? Or not respect, just externally gives them a little more attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Bhakti Yoga Prabhu, your hand is up since a long time. I'm sorry it took time to come to you. Bhakti Yoga Prabhu. You're muted, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhus, Matajis, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. It's very lamentable that we've come to the end of this book, but I guess we have the next one to look forward to. But I think what we can do is take one page or one lesson and try to implement that in our lives. That's the least we can do. I mean, Guru Maharaj, he's been at this now for so many decades. Regarding, there were many comments about Guru Maharaj fundraising from rich people. So we find throughout the pages of this book, so many devotees commented on Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj being Prabhupada's man. So Guru Maharaj learned at Prabhupada's feet. Prabhupada, when he was establishing Bombay, he was going around to different rich people's places to try to collect Lakshmi to build that temple. So Guru Maharaj learned from the best. And he's doing that, and he's showing us, that's Prabhupada's man. He learned and he implemented it in his service. He once mentioned to me in when I was staying in Mayapur that I will not quit. Prabhupada gave me this job, this service, and I will not quit until I die. So that's very telling on how we should take instructions from Guru and put it into practice without deviating. Another thing, Gaur Garadhar Prabhu was mentioning about the pace of Guru. So one time when I was in Mayapur, Guru Maharaj came alone. There was no servants or anything. I had just laid down for the night and fell asleep, and my phone rang, and it was what's his name? Anyway, I can't think of his name now. It was the general manager, Nitai Prasad Prabhu. He became a sannyasi later on, and I think he's no longer with us. He called me, he says, your Guru Maharaj is here. I said, what? So I was like, I just woke up and was totally disoriented. I said, where? He says, in the conch building, and he's asking for you. So I got up and got changed, got on my bicycle, rode over to the temple, and Guru Maharaj was in the Bombay room. And anyway, so he was there for like 3 or 4 days, and I was a servant for those days that he was there, and served in whatever little way I could. I'm not a trained servant, so I didn't know all the intricacies of serving him, but I served to the best of my ability. So the next morning when I went, after prasadam and everything, he said, let's go for a japa walk. So we started off together from the conch building, and we walked along that road. It's like a Z-shaped road. Z is the what Canadians say instead of Z, right? It's a Z-shaped road that goes past the Goshala. So we started off together. We're walking. Guru Maharaj had such a fast pace. He's like, materially speaking, he's like 20 years older than me, right? And he's going so fast, and I got left behind in the dust. So yeah, he got to the Goshala, and he stood there and he waited for about 5 minutes until I caught up. And he says, Bhakti Yoga, are you okay? I said, yes, Guru Maharaj. He says, okay, so let's go. So he started walking again, but this time he walked slower. And still I got left behind in the dust. He walked another like half a kilometer, whatever. Now he's in the rice field, and he stood and waited again. And then he says, are you sure you're okay? I said, yes, go on. So then we walked, and we got to the Grahasta area where I was living, and he knew the building I stayed in. So he stopped there, and he says, Bhakti Yoga, why don't you go with your family? I said, no, Guru Maharaj, I can continue. He said, no, you go with your family. I'll see you later. I have a meeting. As soon as I get back to the building, I have a meeting. So Guru Maharaj just like so fast, not just in walking, but in everything that he does, in his seva. A couple of years ago when he was here, I mentioned to him that, I read somewhere that Srila Prabhupada said you should open 11 temples in and around Delhi. And then he corrected me he gave me the correct number. No, it was not. It was this. So
it was what? Right? He corrected you to what? You said 11, and then
not the number that I quoted was wrong. So he told me the right number.
Which one? What was that number?
He told me. I think he told me 13.
No, he said now every time somebody says, Maharaj, you open a lot of temple. Just last winter I was with him, and I forgot that Prabhu gave number 14 or something. But
16.
17, Prabhu, 17.
He keeps increasing.
And Maharaj just told me, at least personally, try to visit. So I have on my phone, I think I've gone to 12 of them. And I am on plan on visiting all 17. Because I don't think most of us have done that besides Guru Maharaj. So that's my humble opinion too, or the suggestion. If you're in Delhi, just go visit. It will make Guru Maharaj happy. All of those 17 centers. It might take you a few days, a week, month, but whenever you try to, whenever you're in Delhi, try to visit his centers.
Yeah, I remember one time I was in India and I didn't go to Delhi Temple, and I met Guru Maharaj in Vrindavan. And he said, did you visit the Delhi Temple? And I said, no. He said, you didn't visit the Delhi Temple? I said, no, Guru Maharaj, I didn't have time. He said, you should make time to go. So since then, every time I go to India, I visit the Delhi Temple. I think was Advaita Acharya Prabhu was commenting on Guru Maharaj not going to festivals because big festivals because devotees get attracted to him and distracted from their service. When I was in Delhi in in March 2020. This is just as the global COVID outbreak, they were closing down the world. And I was there, and so Guru Maharaj invited me to go with him on a morning walk. And so we went on a walk behind the temple in that little park there. And there was just 4 of us. And so I came back, and later on in the evening, I was talking to Akrura Prabhu, who was staying in the guest house as well. And I said, we talked about the morning walk. And I said to him, how come you didn't go for the morning walk? He said, Prabhu, those morning walks are by invitation only. So, I understood from what he meant that if there was no invitation, the entire temple would be walking with Guru Maharaj in the park, and nobody will be doing their service.
Thank you.
Then Guru Maharaj asked me, he says, are you going to come again tomorrow morning? And I said, no, Guru Maharaj, I was planning to go to Vrindavan because I'm leaving in a couple of days. And then he goes, oh, but the temple is closed. I said, yeah, I know, because they had already closed all the temples to the public. And then I said, yeah, I know. He says, if you want, I can make arrangements for you to go in. I said, how will that be done? Then he thought about it. He said, oh, well, better not, because if I did, then, there'll be criticism. So I said, that's okay, Guru Maharaj. I can stand from the road. You can see Krishna Balaram. So I can stand from the road and take darshan. So Guru Maharaj is always anxious to engage us in devotional service and, do whatever it takes to get that accomplished and to get that done. So just wanted to share that a little bit.
Wow. Thank you so much, Prabhu. There's so much nectar. Wow. Thank you. Ajit Krishna Prabhu, before we end, just please, you can give some. And just one, many of you don't know Ajit Krishna Prabhu. Where is he still here? Is Ajit Krishna here?
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
he's here.
Prabhu. Yes. Ajit Krishna Prabhu is one of our very senior God brothers, and Guru Maharaj always, gives him such a special place. And when Guru Maharaj was
Atlanta.
Before, Prabhu used to work for
Delta.
For Northwestern, and then Northwestern closed down, and then he shifted to Delta, and then when he shifted to Delta Airlines, then he would come right to the inside the plane and receive Guru Maharaj right there in Atlanta and usher him all the way to the baggage claim, and even to this day gives advice on booking Guru Maharaj's tickets, and because he's he worked for so many years as an executive in Delta Airlines. And so that was something very special. And so Prabhu was always dressed in like a suit when he would come and meet Guru Maharaj. And so I didn't know him so much. Like I would see him kind of like a devotee coming in a suit. So, I didn't realize kind of his spiritual qualities. And then just recently in Chicago, one devotee, Prabhu, you know him, Amani Goranga Prabhu? Amani, what's his name? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. He came with about 30 devotees from Minneapolis, and he's, preached there so much, cultivated so many people, and there's such a large, yatra there now. And he said that I became a devotee in Ajit Krishna Prabhu's Bhakti Vriksha. I used to go to his home, and that's where my Krishna consciousness started. So we can just see his, his devotion and spiritual, you could say, energy and dedication to Guru Maharaj. So Prabhu, please go ahead. Yes.
Prabhuji, this forum is for Guru Maharaj. So you're embarrassing me, and I feel like I should not be on the call because this is embarrassing. I mean, learning and continuing to learn from all of you, and the and what you said about being able to come to receive Guru Maharaj, etc. I mean, I remember seeing all of you Gopalari Prabhu, Garudari Prabhu, so many, all of you would always be there with Guru Maharaj. It was so blissful. It was so nice to be able to receive Guru Maharaj. And but taking the topic back to Guru Maharaj, and apologies to everybody for being a cause of this little diversion in the conversation. Prabhu and all of you are extremely kind. So all I wanted to say was, actually, from the readings, there were so many things that kind of jumped out. But one of the things I wanted to kind of highlight was about accountability. And in that regard, so Guru Maharaj holds us accountable. And at one, I think this was maybe a few years prior to COVID and so forth, when TSA pre-check had become a thing and it was a possibility. And so Guru Maharaj indicated that, why don't you get me TSA pre-check, because then I'll be able to go through this whole process much faster. And I was thinking in my mind that, well, if Guru Maharaj gets TSA pre-check, what about everybody else who accompanies him? And if they don't have TSA pre-check, then it won't kind of help in any way. So I was trying to use my intelligence, not realizing that it's more important to just do what Guru Maharaj tells you to do versus trying to use your own intelligence. And so I let that pass in that particular year, and I didn't do very much about it. I kind of checked at the airport, and they said that, there's a whole year and you have to and so forth. And I remember, Ali Prabhu, we discussed this a little bit, and you thought maybe we could get that interview done at the Boise airport, because that's a smaller airport and it would be quicker. But anyway, my mistake was that I didn't follow up on it, because I thought it would really not be a practical solution. And I thought maybe Guru Maharaj just mentioned it casually. Next year when he came back, he asked me, have you done anything about the TSA pre-check? I just felt like a worm. I mean, I was like, I felt so foolish that I did not follow up on what he asked me to do, and he was serious. So that was another very embarrassing moment. But it was at the same time, it kind of inspired me to never forget that if Guru Maharaj mentions something, don't take it lightly. Do it. There is a very big reason behind it, which we may not understand, but one has to follow what it says. And just related to that, the other thought that jumped out at me when Yoga Prabhu was talking about the number of temples in Delhi, that number, quite honestly, I mean, I don't know very much, but the only thing I can say is that number has always been going up. I mean, I had 11 first, then I heard 12, then I had 13. Today I heard 17. And it makes me think that maybe what the actual number is, what Prabhupada instructed Guru Maharaj, perhaps that's a number that only Guru Maharaj knows, and it will be revealed to us at some point, because the point is that number keeps going up. And it's very beautiful, because I think Prabhupada may have mentioned maybe 14 to him at some point, because that's what I had heard, 14. Yeah. But then that target has been exceeded. So Guru Maharaj is going above and beyond what Prabhupada asked him to do. So maybe that is the mood in which Guru Maharaj is right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if that number goes up to 18, 19, even 20. Who knows? And actually, the third little thing that I wanted to just mention quickly about this is how practical Guru Maharaj is. When Gopalari Prabhu said, influence the influencers, and this is in the context of fundraising from the rich, that makes complete sense. Because if the leaders of society, or if the prominent people of society, regardless of what field they are excelling in, maybe they are film stars, cricketers, whatever, the moment one of those people becomes devotees, I think 100 or 1,000 people or some big number like that will just follow to the extent that ISKCON quite confidently and prominently displays Hema Malini as a supporter for us. And so I think there's absolutely nothing wrong. And so at times that people criticize that, it just seems that they're missing the point, maybe, that it's a practical necessity, and who wouldn't follow an important or a prominent person. So it makes complete sense if Prabhupada instructed Guru Maharaj to influence the influencers. And lastly, just one little thing about what Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj had said about the transcendental energy of Guru Maharaj. And Golgadhar Prabhu, all of us, I mean, we've experienced this. And in fact, I remember Madhu Prabhu in Washington once was telling me when we were there, and in fact, I think Advaita Acharya Prabhu, you may have mentioned this too, that when Guru Maharaj comes, it's like a festival. And so at the end of the festival, during the festival, everyone just moves on Guru Maharaj's energy. His energy just carries all of us. And then when you go back home, you're tired for the next whole week or whatever, and then you're catching up, because then you get back into your material kind of situation. But the way, so I used to, a lot of times I used to say, okay, we are disciples of Guru Maharaj. We are naturally, we view him very differently. For us, he's Krishna's representative. And so maybe there's a little bit of sentimentalism in our hearts when we say that Guru Maharaj has spiritual energy. But in reading what Bhakti Vigyan Maharaj said, here on, I think it's page 533, and I'll just read that quote because he said it so beautifully. He says, however, he is running as if nothing happened. This is a sign of his direct access to transcendental energy, which has no explanation from the material point of view. It's like an absolute miracle, and such things don't exist in the material world. To live in such intense situations for so many years is humanly impossible. He's definitely protected by Krishna and runs on spiritual energy. I mean, this was like almost, this is like a Shastric reference as far as I'm concerned, because I may think this way because he's my guru, or my god brothers and sisters might think this way. But if his own god brother, and who is a sannyasi, who is well-versed in Shastra, who is not speaking on the platform of sentimentalism, he is speaking from a practical realization perspective. And if he says this, I think there's no doubt in my mind that, Guru Maharaj is definitely, he is operating on spiritual energy. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, that's all I have.
Thank you so much. Oh, wow, that's so amazing. All the points that you mentioned, they're like absolutely, I'm glad this is being recorded, because this is something we would want to remember, all those wonderful realizations. Thank you, Prabhu. Would anyone like to reflect on what Prabhu said? Any further comments on his words?
I think Ajit Krishna Prabhu has mentioned completely correctly, actually, what that we all feel. I think, yes, when I was talking about walking with Guru Maharaj, I had some personal experience, same thing. He was in Washington, I think 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And he was walking near the house, the temple, in this little small park area. And he says, let's go and walk. So me and I think 3 people. And I started first round, and Guru Maharaj was completed the whole round. I was half the distance. And then he came back and says, well, are you okay? And same thing. I says, yeah, Guru Maharaj. Then after says, if you cannot walk with me, just don't worry about it. Just walk slowly. I'm keeping my own speed. And he made a round, and I was behind all the time. So there's no connection, not walking with him at all. So that's how his energy. But I think as Ajit Krishna Prabhu has mentioned about that, perfectly fine. And that's why this book is, I think, very, very important book, because as he mentioned that we have our guru, so we have personal, what you call, glorifications. But when sannyasis and god brothers and other devotees talking about him, I think that's called very, very bona fide. And I think so, in that sense, I think we need to have at least meditation on the quotation of the devotees who has put in the book.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes. No, thank you. And that's true. That's why we're hearing from so many of these devotees in this book. The devotees who are so senior and his god brothers has made such a powerful impact. And it's true. Like, yeah, it's just like really, I almost feel like this is the most important sadhana for the week. Reading this like gives so much determination and strength to go on with our service and our service in ISKCON, and just because it's Guru Maharaj's example and devotees confirming this and saying this, then for the rest of the week we're like, okay, yeah, no, it comes back in the mind that Guru Maharaj is like this, so we have to follow in his footsteps, we have to fulfill his desire, his will. And yes, and yes, Ajit Krishna Prabhu, I remember the TSA pre-check. The TSA pre-check incident. Yes. And also calling and saying, Guru Maharaj is asking, does he have it? It's so amazing.
In that sense, I remember one thing, that if Guru Maharaj says something to you, to us, and he just casually talks to us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we forget it in next few days or week. After 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whenever he calls you back, he catch you at the same point. Did you do that? He says no. And that's why I learned from Jagannath Priya. He said, when Guru Maharaj says something, do it right away, otherwise you'll forget and you get embarrassed. And that happens to us many times. He just calls. Did you make an appointment? No, Guru Maharaj, sorry, I have to make excuse. I have to lie sometimes. But yeah, that's the truth. Guru Maharaj says something, act upon right away. Otherwise, you will forget. And it has a lot of values behind the instruction that he gives you to do something. So yeah, that's a very good lesson, that if he tells you something to do it, and don't postpone it. I can do it.
Yes. Well, on that note, okay, Prabhu, Madhu Krishna Prabhu, Adi Gauranga Mataji. Last comment and then we'll end.
Well, I don't want to be the last comment in case it's not very good, but I'm just remembering when everyone's talking about their experience, Guru Maharaj. I'm sure you have all so many good experiences. I'm just want to recount one experience. It was probably 6 years ago. We were in Detroit. He was flying out to Baltimore, and somehow we had stolen his time for as much as possible. So we had kept him for like the very last flight out of Detroit, so maybe a 9 o'clock flight or something. And I got the dumb luck. I lucked out of being able to drive him to the airport. And so it was Guru Maharaj in the front seat, I was driving, and then some disciples in the back. So it's probably like 8:30 at night. We're driving. Everyone's asleep in the back. I'm driving, and I'm just concentrating on driving. Guru Maharaj is on the phone talking to all the Baltimore and DC devotees about, so I can overhear the phone. I'm not trying to pay attention, but I can't help but overhear. And they're saying, let's cancel the morning programs so you can take some rest when you come here. He's like, no. I made promises to be at this person. This is now, his flight's probably 9:30 at night, so I won't get into Baltimore until like 11:30, something like that. And he just said, no, I mean, the devotees are being so kind. No, we'll cancel all the programs. He's like, no, I've made promises. I will definitely do I'll go to this person's house at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., whatever it was. And I just couldn't believe it, because everyone's sleeping. I'm half asleep driving, and he's busy making plans for the next morning. It was to me unbelievable. So it was just to show what you've all said already. His work is never ending. It's unending. He never tires. So we should all be completely inspired by that. Hare Krishna.
That was a perfect note to end with, Prabhu. Thank you so much. It's so nice. So we'll end here, and then next we'll start a new book, or finish this book next time. In the meantime, I'll take Advaita Acharya Prabhu's guidance, other Rupanuga Prabhu's guidance, and others, what we should do, and then we'll get started next week. And we've really this is a milestone, accomplished something very wonderful. Read Guru Maharaj's biography, official biography, and this is his official biography, and this is a biography that Guru Maharaj himself kind of endorsed. I heard him say it. This was Satyaraj Prabhu, and particularly that was the first part that we read. Did it for Guru Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj gave him permission to do it. So this was so enlivening, and the association is so enlivening.
That is GKG group Bhagavad Gita.
Sorry, I
endorse it. I endorse it.
Oh,
He's saying it's a GKG group Bhagavad Gita. It's Bhagavad
Oh.
Gita is what he's saying.
okay, yes. Yes. Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Bhakta.
Jai.
Very good.
Hare Krishna.
Sisters.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, enjoy your day.
Hare Krishna.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
On that note, Guru Maharaj says, for devotees is every day Happy New Year.
As long as you're serving Krishna and Guru.
Yeah.
Hari
Nice.
Bol. Okay, we'll end.
Hari Bol.
Hey, Haribol.